got 33 pages. We do have a quorum. Stone has called in remotely, and somebody's walking in the door. But we do have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and get ready. Any public input tonight? If not, I'm going to change the order up a little bit. I did put, Clark's really stressing about this audit and his financials over there. I'm going to have you go first just because you're not done with it. But actually, Bob Walker has come in. He's our CPA, and he does our annual audit every year that's required by the school board. And I'll let you talk about it.
Still have read it. I'm like Dracula. My voice doesn't go on. That's the only joke I got. Okay, so if you want to go through the audit, we can go through it, or I can do a summary. What I'll do is a summary. So the main point of the audit on page 1 and 2 is the audit is a clean opinion audit. In the audit, there's nothing good said, just left bad. So there's no bad in this audit. There's no laughs from that. Anyway, so you'll see on page 2. On page 2, it says, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly the financial position of the school, and that's basically what a clean opinion report is. And that took us 2 pages to say that. So you've got that part of the audit, which is for the financial statements. The next 4 or 5 pages are what you would call management's discussion of the financial statements, which it does a comparison of prior year and current year on the balance sheet and the profit and loss. And the biggest point to point out is that on your profit and loss, page 6, you had an increase of $186,000 over the prior year profit or less loss. That's probably the turning point. Most of that, a lot of that is from the before and after other cost-saving measures. Still no line. That was a joke.
We just keep laughing, send you pause.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for it.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Okay, page 8 and 9 is for the new people that come in. Page 8 and 9 is different from page 10 through 13. In government accounting, you have 2 sets of financial statements. Page 8 and 9 is on the more the business model where you have asset depreciation. Cash basis. So on page 8 is your balance sheet. Shows your assets. Most of your assets are in cash, and you have some money held by the bond paying agent, $1.4 million, offset by the bond debt. Page 9, which is your profit and loss. One thing to point out, there was a change in accounting principle. About so what it did is they had, when you issue bonded debt in prior years, you through the unpaid, because when you issue your bond, you have a lot of underwriter expenses and bond issue costs. So people with their hands in the till. So what you do is, in this method, you record that as an asset and then depreciate it over the life of the bond. So they finally decided that's not a good procedure anymore. So they took the rest of that bond issue cost and you have to expense it in the prior year. So that's why it's changed to the beginning balance of $404,000 on page 9.
So now that that's been expensed, we won't have that depreciation anymore.
Right, you won't have that. It's like $20,000 a year that was constantly being depreciated.
So now it's just written off in one fell swoop.
Right. So what I like is page 10 and page 12. So on page 10, what it does is shows your balance sheet by fund, which is basically more on a cash basis, so you get an idea of what you actually have in the bank. So I mean, in the general fund, you have $365 of cash, and you have $1,040,000 debt service fund for the bond reserve. 12, which shows you your more like a cash income. So in 2015, income was $85,000, basically. Instead, that's good stuff. And back, the rest of the audit report is describes accounting procedures, his description of change, what he's talked about in accounting, details on your fixed assets and your payable kind of revenue, all good stuff back there. Eventually you get to the end, near the end. Page 27 is the internal control and compliance. And like I said, nothing bad said. It's good. So that's basically there's no findings in the internal control and compliance. Page 29 is a management letter, which is provided by the Auditor General to cover these different areas, which has those different areas there, which says there's no findings, no recommendations. Financial condition, emergency. Nothing else bad.
A lot of good.
A lot of good. So,
Anybody have any questions for Bob?
Mark.
Start at the beginning and do that again. I didn't
Good.
quite get it all.
Which I'll probably say the same joke, the same pause. So.
I've like had it for 2 hours now.
Right. It's basically, if you look at really page 5 and 6, it does a comparison of prior year to current year, which you can see the changes, how they've increased it for the good in this 2014 versus 2013. Yeah.
And then go back and read all the pages in between.
Right. Like I said, there's no findings on internal control, compliance, or on your financial statements.
So now that
Things are operating on.
that gets turned into the school board when? Or it was sent in by the 30th, end of the month? Last month?
Yes, no, it's this month.
Okay.
It really needs to be approved by the board, draft approved by the board, and then we can turn it in by the 30th, probably this week, and then we'll give you copies and send it to the Auditor General as well.
Somebody like to make a motion to approve the... All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody against?
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't hear any laughs out of that either. I didn't know I had another.
Okay, it passes unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob. Mark, while you're so vocal over there, do you want to go through the financials for last month? Or you want?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll have the budget report for the month. Thought if I paused, I say laugh a bit more.
Keep going.
Total revenue for the month, $850,000. Total expenses. Questions on any of the other items that maybe or I don't think there's anything that would remarkable this month.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I think it's unanimous. Thank you. Debbie,
Yes.
do you want to talk about your minutes?
Yeah, we have the minutes from August 25th, and I know Chris had recommended one more change. So I'm not sure if Chris is there or if Brian, you want to cover that change so that we could potentially vote on the approval for those minutes with that one suggested change that Chris had suggested. Is Chris
Yeah.
there to?
Yeah, what, is it on?
It's actually a few changes, and it's in the end part of the report, where it talks about the audit. And the first part was the audit, like KPMG. The way it reads better after the 2012-2013 school year, our sponsor audit of Renegade Engage. The audit was completed last month, and there were no findings. The way it was written before, it didn't really explain. It said that we had to have an audit. It wasn't clear. And then the second one is about our audit. We're currently in the process of our annual required physical audit. I don't think that one was clear either, that we were being audited and we were doing our
Our annual audit, it's required every year.
So I can forward those to Debbie if those were separate to you.
They're fine with me. I mean, it's just clarification, otherwise it's like we're being audited and audited and audited.
Yeah.
Move to approve the minutes with Chris's.
Second.
Any other further discussion? Minutes are approved, Debbie.
Okay, good. And then we also have the minutes from the September 3rd conference call.
We've got to vote. We've got to
I'm
vote.
sorry.
All
Oh,
in
go
favor?
ahead.
Aye. Anybody opposed? They passed unanimously. And then we have the minutes from the special call board meeting.
Yes, and those were sent around with no suggested changes or edits. So if someone wants to make a motion for approval of those minutes as well, that would be great.
Do I hear a motion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. And
Really quick, Debbie, when we post those minutes, can we make sure we attach all of the documents that were reviewed in the board meeting last time as well? Those are all
Yes.
the ones submitted to the board meeting already, that they should probably be with the minutes.
Yes, I can make sure that Chris has all those attachments as well. Yes.
all right, Debbie, anything from the vice president position?
Not this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Clark, you've already done your part. Thank you. Let's move on to education. Amy?
My two, we have, I'm working on recruiting at least one more member of the education program committee. So we will have a meeting by the end of this month, once I get scheduled. And personnel committee meeting will be next Wednesday, September 24th at 8 a.m. And there, you already have that, right? So that's posted. And those are my only updates. Scheduling
Okay.
the meetings for this month.
All right. We haven't had a business or finance meeting in quite a while. Just a few updates. One, it was unanimously approved to lease the facility at Lutz Lake Fern. I did execute those contracts, and we have submitted a check. I have not gotten the signed documents back from the bank yet. I expect that sometime this week. They're willing to give us the keys to it and start doing whatever we need to do. I did ask about the playground stuff because you can do whatever you want. And actually, they were thinking about taking, I know, that front part, that equipment out and just totally getting rid of it, because they were like, well, we could redo this and have more parking. It might look more attractive to a prospective buyer. So whatever we want to do with that equipment, we can do whatever. If we use all the components, fine. If we use part of them and we find some components don't work or are not working condition, we just need to get rid of them. They want nothing to do with them. Both sets.
How about the furniture?
You know, I haven't broached that subject, but since we're leasing it and it's a lease to purchase, I would think that would all come with it. It's, you know, whatever's there is there. They want nothing. They really don't.
So Michelle, who has a better eye for necessity, also the 7th and 8th grade is would be better.
And that's fine. We can do whatever we want with it. They're very amenable. I need to find out as far as where we are with getting the drawings done and a permit for the right turn lane, but I haven't called Roger this week yet, but I was kind of hoping the documents from the bank would be back by now, but they're not. That's the update there.
Pretty big thing.
Yeah, it's good. At some point this month, we need to make sure we notify the school board office and Jenna and let them know that we have intentions of moving that facility up to, from Florida Avenue up to Lutz Lake Fern. And some of the teachers I know got together. They sent me some information and some of their concerns, what they thought of the new facility. 99% of it was all positive. They just want to continue focusing on teaching the children and don't want to have to worry about, is it going to be clean, is it going to be painted, and that's one of the things I know we had talked about as a group, that, you know, we need to have somebody go in there professionally, clean it, scrub it, sterilize it, put some fresh paint on it. Obviously, Adam, we're going to want some input with you for any minor modifications that we may need to do, if it's, you know, new toilet seats or whatever it could be, or maybe choice of paint color.
Yeah, that was the number one hesitation, of course, among the teachers. Was, I think, the overall resounding idea behind it was, why didn't we do this sooner? Like when they saw it, they were very happy with the location, with the building and structure.
And to make a long story short, that the reason that it took so long and why there was a push to try and get us in there over the summer, but there's too many variables. We want to make sure we had all our ducks in a row so that we knew the roof was good, the AC was good, there wasn't any mold, that we got our variance from the county. So all that was done ahead of time. You know, we were rolling the dice. You know, we spent some decent amount of money.
Well, it turned out, well, it was a great response. The teachers loved it. That let me know that they were excited to be in.
Good.
But as we spoke about, and based on previous experiences, they are worried about the length of time for the move. And I know that normally whenever we propose something, especially something that's going to cost a large amount of money, we have to get multiple bids, especially maybe with the cleaning, with the moving, with the painting. Is that something that we can start doing now? You know, because the teachers they're willing to help. They're willing to
Sure.
look and to get it because they're very excited. But they are hesitant because of that, because of the past experiences we've had with getting things done in a timely manner.
Huh?
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
No. We'll get that taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, if we need to have a special board meeting to get something approved for something, we'll get that done. But first we got to get the keys so we can let people in there and let them know that this is what needs to be done, and we need to pick your brain and Michelle's brain and figure out what all needs to be done.
I guess the only other question I have is when are we going to let our current, the current owners?
That's happening this week.
Okay, because I wasn't there the day that we moved in, so we're not exactly sure what is ours and what is theirs. So the sooner we can let them know, the sooner they can come in and do an inventory, and then we can do an inventory of what we have so that we know what we need or what we can bring to the new location.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And Brian, how quickly will we be able to start addressing the turning lane issue?
It's Joe is the engineer that's been doing it, and he is getting the drawings done, the engineering drawings, surveys done.
Good.
And as soon as I get that back, we're going to take it out to bid, and then as soon as we get those numbers in, I'll let you guys. And anything that I see from them, I'll push out to you guys and let you see what's going on. But right now, you know, one of the concerns was, you know, the bank is giving up land with a limited commitment from us, but a permanent commitment on their part because you have to give that land up for the right turn lane. But and they're more than willing to do that. And the only other thing, Chris that's been our liaison to the bank and actually worked for Pilot Bank. He no longer works for them, but he's been handling some real estate transactions until he gets them completed. And this is one of his last two that were still out there. Is if we want to take advantage of the loan that they offered. So that might be something in the next month as we figure out what our costs are going to be. It would be an 80-20, so we'd be responsible for at least 20% of whatever that loan amount is. But we'd have to find some, you know, real hard numbers that we're going to be spending. And part of that money can be, you know, the turn lane. So we'll just have to figure that out.
You mean the cost of the turn lane would count towards the 20% required? Is that what you're saying?
No, it would be like if it costs $50,000 to do the turn lane, and we wanted to borrow another $40,000 or another $50,000, we'd need to come up with $20,000 of it, and they'd give us the 80.
I think I remember that the amount that they were willing to lend to us the same as the amount.
I don't recall that. I can talk to Chris and find out, but I don't recall that. I don't know that answer.
And what you just said, and then if that were the case, then 80% of the turn lane cost would come from that loan, and the other 20% of the loan would then be available for other things that we would.
I think they're willing to give us whatever dollar amount. I think they set up to $100,000 that we can borrow. So we could borrow $100,000, but we would need to pay what we're paying out. You have to have receipts for what you're buying. They're not going to give us a line of credit per se. There's got to be some asset or something that we're doing or improvement, whether it's painting the outside, painting the inside, what those different costs are.
So we have more than just enough.
Correct. And I think that note was over a 5-year period.
Yeah. We talked at length about the new property at the facility. So, have a good feel for how the turn lane fits into how car line is going to work?
I have an aerial that's kind of, they plotted on top of the property, and I can shoot that out to you.
Yeah.
But here in the next week, he's going to have an actual survey on how the queuing and the car lines will go.
Just when we did our tour, you know, I think some of us kind of got sort of a mental picture. And where the turn lane fit into that was, if you like the turn lane, might put you somewhere different than where car lane could go.
Yeah. I'll get that and I'll shoot it to you.
The other thing is, Scott, this came from the 8.5 by 11 site plan. I don't know if there's a better document. I noticed that in this one it got cut off on the printed it. So I don't know if that their hand was that way or if my printer did that. But just so we'd have something to work with.
As a
all
floor
the
plan.
classrooms are numbered and stuff. And there's no dimensions on it or anything, but it just kind of gives us a basic document to start planning on.
And I'll see what the bank has, if they have any as-built or who knows what, they were just the last mortgagee.
Right.
Any other questions about that? All right. Michelle, do you have anything with resource?
My arm. Yes, I do. So we have kicked off the Health and Hearing campaign. We are currently at 31% participation, which I think is a really great number. Mama's Hearing Nest out the driveway is filled with a variety of baby colors. So the students and the staff are really excited. We've done several cheerleading sessions. We have a mom in the driveway today wearing feathers from Mama Heron, giving out really express yourself, show your feather pride. We've had moolah, this is going up with moolah for our moolah. Thank you for helping me here. We have thanks the nest, because of course the purpose of the campaign is to bring our community together at the beginning of the school year. We would love, of course, 100% participation from the families and then also things are going well. We have 3 weeks left. Very refreshing to have administration behind the campaign on both campuses. It's a very refreshing thing. We even had Mr. Wolford did a video as he was a baby heron cracking out of it for the morning show. It was great. And Kelly, I know, is working on a video. I think the administration involved with it as well. Really neat. We're going to have the great passion October 7th at United States on campus. So that will be the end of the campaign. And I noticed if you remember Planet, a lot of people did their pledge early during the summer. So that was really helpful. So thank you for that. Any questions or anyone need to I just got her to have to run to the feather. I'll leave them here. No question. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. I inadvertently.
I have something to add to the resource development committee, if I may. So I'm a member of the committee. I've been talking to Michelle about ways we can promote the school and also attract potential board members and just community partners. Talking about doing a garden party in November that would, of course, feature our organic garden. But it also will be sometime after the first biome, which is early November, and so hopefully there will be projects or tips or other things that we can also use to promote. And I mention it now so that board members can think about, like to invite partners go off to school and start to develop those relationships.
Very good idea.
More coming. Later November, mid to late November on your calendar, and set a date and thinking about who to invite.
Okay, great. Debbie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have anything on governance?
No, I don't have anything on governance. We haven't met since the last board meeting. It's still just Stan and I, so I'll work on recruiting additional members and try to set a meeting before our October board meeting so that I can give an updated report on where we are with governance committee.
Okay, great, thank you. Foundation, we have not met since we're meeting quarterly, and I think our next board meeting is next month. So in October we'll have our next board meeting, and I'm sure that's posted somewhere. The foundation meeting.
Let me look over there. See, I want to say it's the 5th, but I may be wrong, so let me look. It's not the 5th, that's the Sunday. It's actually the 6th, Monday the 6th. Well, it's a good night to have a meeting then. You won't be asleep anyway. No, if that's a problem, I'm sure we can change it, but right now it's scheduled for the 6th.
All right, that's the only thing for the foundation. Clark, you guys have been busy.
Yes. First of all, we added another member to the facilities committee, making it now 400% larger than it was last year. We added Jim Hill, who's a parent volunteer to the committee. So we immediately heaped all kinds of work on it. Probably sorry already, but we got a lot to do with the new school. John has continued work, and the minutes of this meeting have already been posted, so you'll have to John's been working on the project priority list, and so he's carrying the ball on that, and that's moving forward. And the other thing that he's working on is John's doing an awful lot of stuff for the committee. But he's trying to go electronic with the maintenance, so that we're able to track all of the maintenance projects that Richard and Ricardo were doing. And allow Michelle to help Richard and Ricardo keep track and prioritize and get to completion of all of those maintenance projects. So that seems like that's going to be a operation here. The main thing I just wanted to touch on, we spent an awful lot of time talking about the property, and we see that the facilities committee will have some role in that process, it being a facility. And John again has stepped up and developed a spreadsheet that we can start listing the projects, the things that we're going to need to do to make the move. And John, I guess that was an adaptation from one of your business, one facility to another, so he kind of had the template that he was able to work off of. I've got a tracking tool that we can start to fill in all of the things that need to be done, and who's going to do it, and what date it's going to get started. So he's been working on that, and so we'll be sure to be calling everybody and trying to get your name on that list. And then Devon and Michelle, will probably be looking for the volunteers that we have cultivated to try to get some help on that. And we talked some about whether you hire folks or whether you use volunteers to get some stuff done. And it's likely that even though we've got I think a more promising volunteer list than we've ever had before, that we're going to have to be hiring some painters to come in and some cleaners to come in. Like to get stuff done. and probably movers to make the big move that will also be able to get some of us that have trailers, trucks and trailers to get over there and move a lot of boxes and stuff and help with the smaller stuff. Yeah, the kitchen over there.
Very nice.
So
It's got 3 dip sinks.
and a big hood, and it's a big hood. And just among the committee, we were talking about this kitchen versus that kitchen, and what the best arrangement might be. You don't need 2 full-blown kitchens. That kitchen and then bring food back here, or do we focus on this kitchen and bring food over there? We didn't resolve that issue, but we talked about it, and it's something to bring up. At least at the point of the meeting, Chef Jill hadn't had a chance to do it in school yet, so I don't weigh in on it yet, but I'm sure her. We thought as a facilities committee, it would be good for us to get back and tour the property again more thoroughly than we did our last visit, and maybe start putting some dimensions on the site plan and the room sizes and stuff, and start working with Michelle to figure out who's going to go where, and where the science lab's going to be, and where the so we thought now if we can get the key and we can get over there.
Yeah, I think, as we get floor plans and some of that stuff, we need to come up with our own numbering of the rooms so everything that goes out, we're all on the same page and we're consistent across the board.
Well, and I think as we move forward, there needs to be, whatever team is involved, there's going to be people from the committee, the board, both campuses are going to need to be involved, and I think we need to have a standing weekly touch point at a minimum for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the planning phase, because a majority of what we've got to do is identify what's got to get fixed, what's going to go where, to your point about inventory at Florida Ave campus. We need to be presenting a very consistent update to all the constituents, especially the staff and the families at Florida Avenue campus, if there's, these are our milestones, this is what's happening, here's what we're hitting. And a lot of that's going to be just really us locking in and planning in the very early phases of this. So.
And Adam, we need to know what you want. I mean, you saw it a week ago for the first time, so.
I'm excited to see it with the electricity on. Because you get a whole different feel of the place, and the lights are actually on. So I'm excited to see, what it looks like with the lights on.
Understood.
Simple little.
That's pretty much it. That was our second regular meeting, and we're going to try to keep our facilities meetings on Monday.
Hopefully we'll have keys for you next week. I will let you know as soon as I get them. Anything else? I don't see Jill here. Nicole's not here. PTSA, Ivana. Oh, Kathy, sorry.
We had our first
I signed up.
Yay!
And my daughter, she wanted free dress day, and her house got points. And
Do you have the dates for the next meetings or not yet? You have the 3 during the year? Okay. I had April 21st. Right. I didn't get, I don't know if I was
26th is Thursday.
I had the first one approved, I had 2 other things. So that's
We'll go to Dallas. Good.
Ivana, do you need access to the go-to webinar for Wednesday's meeting? Okay, let's touch base tomorrow and get it set up.
Great, thank you. Dad's Pub?
clean up and make it really for place back there. Looks great. Continuing, they're going to have to get a lead license, so that's some of that's coming up.
All right, great. Michelle, I didn't forget about you.
Still might have talked about it with that facility meeting. And, you know, when it comes to kitchen, whether here or there, we have to have them. That already has a lot of the components that we would need in here. The only thing that we have coming up with is either way, I mean, no way around it. We're going to have a way of transporting food back and forth. So it really is, you know, that's the easiest to get it done the quickest. You know, she was all for that. One of the things we then talked about is if it was where older children were, then we could even start introducing things like, you know, food prep and things like that with the older kids as part of electives and stuff that they would have the ability to take. So it wasn't just a matter of the actual cooking for the kids, but actually being able to use it over there in an educational also. So we're at a point now where the contracts that we had for everything here, whether it was the subject or the Thomas kitchen, we have what we needed from those contracts, and they're done now. So we don't owe anybody anything. We don't need to go on if we don't want to. So it's, again, just something to consider. Roger has been out of town,
yep.
So that probably is like just little things. I sent out a letter at the end of last week because we're having a hearing traffic in the mornings and the afternoons. We seem to have a very aggressive group of people who have come into the school. Because I say aggressive, they have people off. There have been multiple near collisions outside.
It's gotten to the point where we're just trying to, I told several people today that the license plate because we need to get these people in because they don't want to listen to any of the rules. They're yelling at people. They're yelling at teachers when they say, you can't be on your cell phone. They're yelling at the teachers if they're saying you're driving too fast. Like all these things that I mean are for the safety of the And what's happening out front is we have a lot of people wanting to make a left turn out. The way that's set up, it's very hard to see if there's any backup. You can't see what's coming. So the amount of times that, you know, people are close is getting scary. We've had complaints from neighbors, all of those. So we're trying to just have parents leave and go to the right. So you would have thought that we were asking you to write another plan, because they were so argumentative. You can't tell me what to do, I'll make it work. So somebody actually brushed up against Richard, who was out there one day. I mean, it's just that. So I did send out a letter, but I feel like we're going to get to the point that I am going to have to people so that is going to probably have to happen, which means eventually Hitler will be brought into it. Yeah, we've never...
Full audience again.
Can't we, couldn't we take and put, and I don't know if we need approval from the city or not, is there any way to make it so people can't turn left with cones or something coming out of here?
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
I'll certainly investigate. I know that we had a parent who actually did comment, you know, thanking me for sending something out and asking those same kind of questions. Is there something we can do along that side that forces people to have to make a turn? It would be really nice if it would, I think, for the safety of their kids.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be. So, you know, that has been an issue that, I guess,
Phil, have you seen any change since the letter went out?
you know, I had one teacher with me today trying because this person is all those things, but
Is it worse in the morning or afternoon?
the afternoon is definitely worse, although it was I typically came from people who live in the area, and those were 2 morning complaints that they had in their car. One was with their car, and one was down the street. But I find that the most aggressive things are happening now. And the only thing I would like to know is we're doing all of our math testing right now. We're just getting ready to finish it up. A lot of it. That information gives us a baseline for reading math. We do it 3 times during the year, so we have the comparison. But what we use it for, even more importantly, is it's time that we make the goals for the school year. So every grade level has to make academic goals for themselves in the reading and math. Any subject areas that are tested, and then even our special area teachers, ED guardians, have to come up with, again, goals that get put out there, and then we have to monitor the pricing. So that's what we're just getting ready to get started with this tomorrow when they're at team meeting. And then as soon as those get created, I'll send those goals out to and then the administrative staff, we come up with the goals for the school-wide goals. So we'll have those hopefully by the end of the week. I'm getting a lot of feedback from the parents, and they're thrilled to be here.
Excellent.
It's so nice after getting yelled at for training last month. Our new parents feedback awesome. They just feel that we're listening to them. Kids are happy. They love the PTSA. They love the community. They love all of them so positive.
I know it's not eye-opening to everybody that's in teaching, but I was at the school today, and I know our kids are a lot better behaved and they want to be here. I literally was in a classroom today. If the teacher could speak for 15 seconds without being interrupted, it was amazing. It was nonstop and crazy. But I think we're fortunate that we have good parents, parents that are involved, that want to be involved, and I think we need to, keep on encouraging them even more. And Ivana, you're doing a heck of a job, encouraging people, parents to be engaged, as well as the normal setup by you need to get your parent hours in and all that good stuff. So it was eye-opening. I mean, I think we're fortunate. I think the staff is fortunate, too, to have such good families that we have and the kids that want to be here.
Little things up. Some people say, the kids is back and I can see that. They're having trouble making friends. Others have a hard time doing some of the little things that we're able to do because we're small enough. And we have parents that we've already, set up conferences. There are issues already, and they're like, wow, this
set that expectation. I don't know just about doing that, but I never them. If not, we should encourage everyone to, because that really helps the parents feel very connected to what their children are learning, be able to ask those specific questions about what they're learning and get something out of it. But that's, and I know it's an effort on a teacher's part to do those emails, but they're very much.
also getting a lot of calls now from people, especially last week. We have said, well, my neighbor's kids go to school, and this is what I'm hearing from some. We're already getting asking before they asking about our program, asking if we can do look up at this. I don't remember.
I second everything there. I love everybody doing a fantastic job. Definitely been re-energized. I did have a concern from the 6th grade team just this week when I was speaking with them. All of our books, especially in 6th grade, our math book and our social studies book are digital. And I know that before we had approved the laptops for 6th grade, are we in the process of getting those in?
They've been ordered.
Okay. Fantastic. So I'll be able to tell them that the fall, the concerns they had about that. It's going to be great news for them to hear.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I did have another update, not the email campaigns that we've been doing to get targeted here. I just wanted to thank you all that again. Turn on work sometimes from 9 to midnight, several nights a week. To get them out, but it's so worth it because we're really getting volunteer responses, more targeted and quicker, and we're getting a lot more outdoor volunteers than we ever have. So I just wanted to give that feedback. It's been working. I know. Never heard that.
We're on.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're working very well.
I'm going to brag on that a little bit. I do all the parties and ask the applicants, and there used to be more parties at that campus than we had at the entire school in this campus. And I dramatically, and some of it was peer pressure points to how, different things that. Now we have more parties than they do, and that's
Excellent.
It says someone to be proud of. One more thing, Brian, I was just mentioning with Brian, is I think we tabled it the last few times that we spoke, and we talked about the internet infrastructure, the routers and everything for the other campus. And now that I know we're moving, that's going to be something we want to set up before then. But the internet load that will be required with the new laptops in the back, the infrastructure that we currently have in will not be able to handle that load. And I know that one of the original reasons why we were getting the new infrastructure, the routers and everything for the new campus was to move those here so that we're able to handle the new load that's going to be required for those 100 laptops that we're going to have the students getting on their SP on a daily basis, getting on their digital books and whatnot. Have we made any steps towards making a decision on the proposal Ryan had previously?
I thought we basically had approved it, but just tabled it until we figured out what we're doing with Lutz Lake Fern.
Okay.
I mean, do you want to put it in over there and then move it in 3 months?
I think you want to wait, but
I mean, I guess what you've got, what, 2 wireless access points over there right now? There's 6?
over there right now. We have 1.
And you got the one Cisco that's in there, right?
Actually, the Cisco one died for another storm, and 1 access point from over there to over here.
You know, this would be my recommendation, and the wireless access points aren't that expensive, so Michelle could say, yeah, go ahead and buy whatever you need for over here. If you've got 5 there, my recommendation would be there should be a wireless access point, 2 wireless access points in each one of these 3 buildings, you know, in that room area, and you should be able to get coverage, you know, on both sides, on either half.
Right.
So buy what you need to make that thing hot, and then take the 5 over here and try and start lighting these up so that the teachers can have that.
Expand on what we're already getting for the other campus.
Yeah, if that's the brand and what you want to go with, that'd be my recommendation.
That way it could just be seamless. We just install that now and then move those when we start to move into the K through 5.
Yeah. Okay. All right, anything else? Old business?
There was some confusion in the last meeting about the approval for the go-to meeting expense.
Okay.
I think it got mixed up with the board docs solution. So it's $79 a month if you pay for the year with the go-to webinar, or it's $99 a month pay as you go. But I want to try and get it registered, and there was some confusion about whether or not we'd approve that or not. The $99 a month, and I thought that was something that Michelle could expense out as a. That's one of the.
Yeah, you could do, but it's really not her. It's a board expense. Okay. So, I guess I would say prepay for a whole year. Let's try it for a whole year. Save the $20 a month, and that's $240. $240, $240.
We're getting about, when we put the recordings up, we're getting 30 to 40 views for each of the meetings now. The first 2 meetings we've had, so people are going on and looking at them after the fact.
So if somebody wants to make a motion,
Second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
And just to restate, what we voted on was to prepay board docs,
Go to meeting.
go to meeting for 1 year, not board docs.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
The other old business item I had was I did meet with Michelle, having some continuing discussions around the relationship with LearningGate Inc. Did not get to come over and meet with the rest of the administration because I've been focused on the ticketing system, but I will be over this week to continue that discussion.
Okay.
Present the next board meeting.
I'm going to try to schedule that.
Okay. Any other old business? New business. I have some new business. One thing that's out there, I know last month we alluded to our attorney. He is working on one thing for us right now that is still out there. It's a 119 request that came in I don't know, February, March sometime. I could be wrong on my time frames, but what it was asking for, it's some attorney down in the Miami area, and this guy goes to any type of entity and just shoots 119 requests in hoping that you screw up, do something wrong, don't respond, and then they sue you. They're looking for an easy $7,000 just for writing a few letters. And I'm just picking that number out of the air, so to speak. Anyway, Fred's been working on it. It is still in process. There is a hearing date set for October 2nd. That's about all I know right now. But I guess some of the things we've gone through sunshine law training. I think Christina and John, you probably need to go through board training. I don't know if Chris or Michelle, you can get that information, or who's ever up to date or not up to date. You need to. There's a board training that they did. You did all right. That's good. A lot of us in April or so, we went through a sunshine review with an attorney. It was great, very informational. However, we do have this one issue that's out there that, you know, Fred's responding to, and he's active. But a couple of the things that have come up in that process is, what is our process? And we really, in my tenure that I've been on the board, and Dan, you've been, speak, if you will, to it, but I only know of maybe 3 119 requests over the past, since the school's existence, and they basically have all come in the last year, year and a half. One of them was from Mike White in the Lutz Coalition, or whatever they are, and that was for some of the stuff that was going on up at the Sunset property, and he had since removed that request. And I think there was one other one.
Did Mr. Hoffschneider ever do a 119 request, or did he just complain to every county agent?
So we've had 2 or 3. The third one has to do with Michelle, and she's the troublemaker. But no, that is being addressed. But I don't know if it's going to be in governance or, I don't know, governance. But I think, yeah, we need to tighten that up a little bit. One thing that I do want to do, and I would like the board to approve it or vote on it, is to have a 119 custodian, and we need to put that on our website. And after looking around, and Michelle and Chris have done their homework, and every other charter school has a link on their website, and 99% of them are the principal, which makes sense. They're the person that's ultimately responsible. So
So what does that mean, a custodian? So any 119 request goes through the custodian? And
yes, and at that point, it would have to come to our policies and procedures, and Michelle's going to say, well, if I get this, do I take it to our sponsor, the school board's attorney, or do I take it to our attorney to respond to it accordingly in a timely fashion and all that good stuff? Because most of this particular one is from an attorney. Some of them are very easy, basic. They're just asking for, I want the minutes of the September 15th, 2014 meeting. And you have a reasonable amount of time to respond. There is, the language in the law is very vague. I'm not an attorney, but it's very vague. There are no specific time frames or requirements. It's just in a reasonable, depending on what the request is. So somebody'd like to discuss that. Basically, she's the entry of the conduit of information.
So your suggestion is that we identify Michelle on the website
Yes.
Okay with that, Michelle?
I've learned an awful lot about them, I think.
I think you should probably read it, and then, you know, if it's something easy, respond. If it's from an attorney, let's take it to our attorney.
And what else, that's what most of the other people have said, that the problem we have is when 19 comes in, it gets read by the custodian of records, and then it contains the signature, and they limit.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a parent asking for a document from a board meeting that, for whatever reason, isn't on the website or it's not in a recorded thing, and it's something easy to get, you know, let's try and turn those things around without getting an attorney.
Well, and I'm assuming that a 119 request, if somebody's looking for that on our website, it's probably going to be an attorney. I'm assuming most information requests would come through the board of directors email from parents, right, in your experience? But it was from an attorney? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's originating from an attorney if somebody's looking at...
Yeah, most
119 is information request, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a very formal,
Yeah.
you know, stuff that isn't necessarily, I don't know, it seems like trivial stuff, like if somebody wants to pull Adam's salary, they can do a 119 request. It's not something that they'd walk in the door and say, hey, Michelle, will you tell me Adam's salary?
Right.
But they can do a 119 request and they can get that information. Now, they can't come in and say, I want to see Adam's health records.
Right.
That would be something, that would be one that I'd turn over to the attorney and say, there's HIPAA laws that affect that, but I think we need to have that, and we do need to have some sort of policy formalized.
So should that be a written policy then that the governing committee would put together?
Yes.
Put in, our book of policy.
It's growing bigger and bigger by the day. But
But do you anticipate this most recent request, this hearing in early October, and then we provide the information, is that pretty much?
I don't know.
What's why the hearing? Normally you get to respond to it.
He's saying that they're arguing over the request. One guy's asking for a bunch of money, saying you didn't do it exactly like I requested. So that's where it is. Do we need to vote on that, or just
Motion to...
do I hear a motion
motion
to
to
appoint Michelle as our 119 custodian? Go first? Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, not just that, then we would request that the governing committee.
Fine. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Debbie, you still there?
Yep, I said aye. Yep.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One other thing, in some of the things that, talking to different people that are involved with other charter schools, and in the last year there's been a new chief of security that was hired by Hillsborough County Schools. His name's John Newman. He's a former TPD police officer. He's he retired from there, now he's the chief. I spoke to him last week and requested that he come out, or one of his staff that's certified, and do a security evaluation on our facility. And he said no problem, and he's going to set that up either later this week or next week to walk the property and look and evaluate what what improvements or concerns he would have.
Great then, so once we're moving over.
Have to do that before we move in.
Alone or do you do that with one of us or?
It can be however you want to, whoever wants to show up. Once I know when it is, you know, I can let everybody know that John Newman or one of his staff are going to be out here and walking the property, and they'll give us a write-up and all that good stuff. Anything else? Any other new business?
Well, I just have two questions. Noted that we hadn't had a business meeting for a while. What did it mean? It made me a little bit nervous. That was somehow something I was supposed to do and didn't know about it, or
no,
just a random glance and I was feeling guilty.
No, I think where that started was business and finance. Facilities and the business committee need to work in concert. I think the facilities needs to identify things that need to be done, and the business committee needs to figure out how to pay for it or budget for it in the following year.
I think I've been to every business committee meeting that you chair. Every single one has been like a really another one will come.
Okay. All right, I will. And we need to start doing that because we're got a lot of upcoming things that we need to address from the facility standpoint. And you know, I think Ryan and Adam, you guys might want to come to the next facilities thing, just to, when we're walking around up there for the first time, at least the facility guys can get your input and what your ideas and what you guys are kind of thinking.
Are we going to do it like Clark had suggested at the
Yes. Yes. Hopefully I'll have the keys this week, and we can get going on that.
The second thing is a strategic planning meeting. Now that we seem to be moving ahead on the school, it would be great to kind of get some vision to spend and where are we going to spend it and what are the goals that we've got. And I think if we can, have the foundation present as well to interact with. The foundation and get dialogue going there, and that would make it all over.
I think that's good. And where are we on doing a retreat? We're going to look at some.
Talk about October, early November. Talk about Hawaii.
No, that was a joke.
We probably need to look at, does it fit well under one of these committees that's going to be meeting over the next, or do we want to, about where, when, how long, that kind of thing.
I would say just a Saturday, maybe from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and it goes to 2 o'clock, and it does.
I could send out a survey, where you can click all the different days you can go, and then it will show us who can come on which day. And then we need to think about, we're going to be meeting for personnel next week anyway. We can maybe talk about places, different options.
Okay. And if anybody has any ideas that, if it's a room, we're probably going to have to pay for it.
Not necessarily.
What is the day of time?
you know, I don't know if everybody'd want to meet 8 or 9 o'clock on a Saturday and try and get it done by 2 or so. Or Jen, something at USF, or
Yeah, and I might have some options.
I mean, what's wrong with their own?
we could always do Heron Hall too. But think about it, and if anybody has any ideas, just
Okay.
put it out there. Just send it out to the whole board. Then we'll all have it, and then we can figure it out.
The Steve Ward is going to be called a duo. Sounds silly, but it's really awesome. Cool. So when you get something.
Anything else?
Michelle, can you drum up a list of people that you think between the two campuses might want to be on the specific, not the facilities committee, but the team that's going to handle this? Lake firm, you know, people want to give input, feedback, we're going to do assessments and walkthroughs of every room over there. Somebody that has the ability to probably hop on a call once a week for a half hour, 45 minutes.
Adam? All right. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?